Hey guys, we're over here with the Broklahomies podcast. I'm Tyler. Danny's actually not here today like last week. He's in the south of Portugal right now enjoying himself. But we do have Nick and Chris Gathman over here today, our guest speakers. How are you guys?
It's going pretty good. How are you, Tyler?
Pretty good, man.
How are you doing, Chris?
I'm doing well. I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah. What'd you guys? Okay, so before we started the podcast, we were talking about food. What'd you guys have for dinner?
We had some delicious Korean barbecue. That's what we had.
Good stuff. And you guys are in LA, right?
We're close to LA. We're about
that's right.
30 to 40 minutes, depending on what part of LA we're going to.
Yeah, we're in Orange County, so I'm real close to LA.
Yeah, we're a hop, skip, and a jump from LA.
Nice. Yeah, it's the standard of Korean food in LA is a lot higher than in the rest of the country. Like even in the Bay Area, the Korean food isn't as good as in LA because K-Town was fucking delicious. I've never had better food. It was so good.
That's what I really missed when I was in school in Oklahoma, is that there's such limited things. Like the sushi wasn't as good.
I was about to bring that up.
Yeah, there's no Korean barbecue. There's no there's just such a limited options. It was
going off on the sushi. I had never really had sushi before coming to college and meeting Chris and you, Tyler, and so. My only sushi that I ever encountered was in this mall, 45 minutes outside of OKC. Is this place called Sakura's, and
was it the one in Shawnee?
Yeah, it's in the Shawnee Mall.
Oh, I remember. I went there with you guys.
Yeah. Right. We totally we took him there once.
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
But until visiting California, until I visited. That was the only sushi I'd ever encountered, and Chris would always tell me how much better sushi is in the coastal areas, and I was like, could it really be that much better?
Well, it wasn't that pretentious.
I mean, the sushi is only acceptable on the coast.
I mean, facts are facts, though. I mean, you're in the middle of the country, you can't go.
Enough. Yeah, Middle America does have very limited access to seafood in general, yeah. So,
the
next topic,
fish have a really long place to swim.
We got to talk about where you guys are from, what you guys do, and where you guys went to college. Emphasis on that college part because we went to the same place. Cool. So, Nick, what do you do, man?
Well, I'm a singer-songwriter. I've produced, I'm working on my fourth self-release right now with my beautiful wife Chris. So we both play in a band called Blood Orange Renegades. We're working very hard on, and professionally I also am an audio engineer.
Before we go forward,
yes.
What is your handle for Instagram, just so the audience knows?
Well, our Blood Orange Renegades handle is just that. It's at Blood Orange Renegades.
Cool. Danny's going to do some editing work here.
Very nice. Thank you, Danny. Future Danny.
All right, cool. Gotcha. Okay, so you're talking about audio engineer.
Mm-hmm. And so what that means is, because I think it can be kind of hard to pin down what an audio engineer actually does, because they wear so many different hats. But I essentially am the audio video guy for this tiny radio studio called New Day Talk Radio. And so what we do is we, as a business, provide the services to people in the local, the locals in the area or whoever's passing through. We provide the services to let them experience what it would be like to host their own radio show / podcast, or if they want to write and produce their own commercial to promote something, we provide the services for that as well.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And
sounds like difficult work. It sounds like a lot of work.
It is. It's a lot of little things that the culmination of everything comes together as the audio engineer. But yeah, it's
basically the Big Bang. That's basically what it's the culmination of everything that exists in the universe.
Exactly, which is the audio engineering job that is me.
Great.
If that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. 100%. All right. So let's move on to Chris real quick. What do you do? What are you, first of all? Hybrid?
What am I? Oh, ooh.
That's a big question.
Start
We're bringing back old
throwing
words.
out slurs there. Well,
The joke is
okay,
that me and Christy are both mixed, and we take turns calling each other hybrid.
yeah, we're just both Asian white monsters.
Basically, Monsters is accurate.
So
I can vouch for that.
spent 4 years terrorizing our college. People didn't know what we were. It's very mysterious.
It's like that you're from California, you know?
Oh no! Oh, gross! Yeah. Oh, you give me PTSD. So what I do is I'm a copywriter, which is essentially ad writing. If you watch a commercial, all the dialogue, that's copy. If you look at a billboard, the text on that's copy. So it's just, if you go on a website, it's the same thing. All the writing on there's just copy. It's to drive traffic to someone, to drive conversions. It's just essentially like ad writing. I know sometimes when I say copywriter, people are thinking of like copyright claims. Like that's the kind of copyright they're thinking of. So
That's what I do.
yeah.
Aren't they spelled differently too?
Yeah, they're definitely spelled different because your copywriter, like what I do, is like writing. WRIT. Yeah, E. And so yeah, it's completely different. But that's what I do as a profession, and then in my free time, I like to do creative writing and screenwriting, novel writing, and then, of course, as Nick was talking about with his music, I play drums for Blood Orange Renegades. And that's our band. Little husband-wife duo.
Indeed. And we're awesome.
And you guys moved it all the way out to LA. How was that, by the way? So you guys were in rural Oklahoma. Well, actually, it wasn't super rural because we were in Oklahoma City, right? But you moved out from a very conservative middle America area all the way out to the great city of LA. How is it going for you guys? What's been like the biggest, I guess you guys already kind of elaborated on the fact that there's better food overall. There's a bigger diversity of food. What have been like some struggles and some pros of moving out to LA?
Well, I mean, for me, I grew up in this area, so I'm definitely a lot more comfortable coming back here. Maybe Nick can talk about what it was like going from Oklahoma to California.
Yeah, there are definitely some pros and cons. Just in my experiences coming out here, because we've been moved out here officially for about a year now, as husband and wife, and so this is the first time that I've ever like lived out of state, and so like I imagine it was for Chris coming to Oklahoma and living there for 4 years, I've experienced some pretty decent culture shock as well, both positive and negative aspects to it, like more positives than negatives.
Dude, how about
obviously
the homeless population here? Like,
yeah,
that's the big thing, right? That's the thing that shocked me about the Bay Area whenever I moved out here. I was like, my goodness.
Yeah, I think I saw like one homeless person in my entire life living in Oklahoma, and that was in Oklahoma City. There was a homeless man like right next to Tamashi one night. There was like he was like laying. Oh, you've mentioned Tamashi before, so our listeners will know.
That's what I was gonna say too. Is that here it goes again with Tamashi? It's like it's the place that everyone goes to. I'm telling you, the audience.
Tamashi's kind of this to go off on a side tangent. Tamashi, I think, is this kind of other world that brings all of us together. It's like a save point.
It's a save point, huh?
It's like on our we're all on our own journeys, but we all come to the same place to commune.
It's like a pleasant little oasis in the disastrous land of Oklahoma.
Pretty much, man.
It's like
really crapping on Oklahoma right now.
No, I do are good things about Oklahoma. I just I gotta.
Okay, so here's the big question:
how it is.
So those, that's kind of the homeless thing is, that's, one could debate the nature of it, but most people would probably say that it's kind of something that's hard to get used to, and something that they, especially coming from a more rural area, very unaccustomed to, definitely. What's a positive besides the food, obviously, because the food in LA is just fantastic. It's so good.
I think the main positive that comes to mind from moving to California is that the amount of possibilities and opportunities out here are so much more immense and gratifying than there are in Oklahoma, at least for what I'm trying to do. And I think for Chris as well, maybe. You think?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think this is one of the big differences I see is California in general, I feel like has a lot more opportunities. The only downside that comes with that is there's a lot more competition too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. Is that that would fall into kind of one of the struggles. Is that, like you just said, while there are more opportunities for our creative endeavors, right? Because there are so many people doing the same thing that we're trying to do, it can be kind of hard to stick out and land something good. But I guess. That's just part of the excitement. That's part of the thrill, maybe.
It's hard, man. It's really hard to find something, I've been job searching ever since I got here, 5 or 6 months ago. Man, job searching here is brutal because you have to pay rent while you have some shitty job that you don't want to work. And then when you get back home from that shitty job, you got to go on LinkedIn, apply, send out your resume, change up your resume. Man, job searching is it's a fucking beating out in California, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true. I can definitely attest to that. That's definitely another part of the culture shock that I had experienced was I don't know if that would fall into culture shock, but the shock of, wow, there are a lot more people out here trying to do the same thing that I'm doing, and I'm not even getting interviews. Whereas in Oklahoma, I feel every job that I applied to would get back to me.
Oh, really? Is that the case? Your own I'm just kidding.
Exactly, because I'm amazing.
Well, I mean, you have to consider when you were applying to jobs in Oklahoma, they were supposed to be part-time jobs, but now after you graduate, you're trying to go into the professional scene and do something full time, and that's gonna be way more competitive. There's gonna be people with more experience and more something. Everyone's got something.
I don't know if you guys, I have the biggest realization that I had whenever I moved out to California. It's kind of paired with this notion that California is where the grass is greener, and the whole saying is that the grass is greener on the other side, but it's really not. But in the case of California, you come out here and you just see how amazing it is. But it is really competitive. And for me, what I tied it to was this notion of good things don't come easily. That's
a good way to look at it.
It's, only endeavors that are worth pursuing endeavors that are worth pursuing are going to be hard. And that's just the nature of things that are worth your time. They're going to be difficult by design. And that's just how I felt about it ever since I moved out to California.
I think that's completely accurate, because otherwise that's whenever you finally do reach the goal that you're trying to scratch and chip away at, it makes it that much more gratifying because it's look, I freaking did it, with all this adversity.
Yeah, that's true. Whenever you land a job, like Chrissy told me, whenever you got the copywriter offer, how did you feel?
Oh my gosh, I think I cried. I can't remember because
I would have cried.
It was hard because
100% cried.
I definitely I turned in so many resumes, and I don't even know how many jobs I applied for. But I remember when I first got the call from my boss that he wanted to interview me. I was on my way up to a film shoot in the mountains, so my signal was just crappy.
Oh man!
So he called, and I was trying to set up the appointment that was Tuesday at 2:00 or something like that, and but I could barely hear him, and he was cutting in and out, and I was like, okay, I'm going to lose this opportunity because of this. And I was freaking out.
Right, yeah.
But we were able to schedule it, and then it didn't seem to affect his decision or anything, luckily.
Good.
And I mean, I wasn't supposed to hear back from him for another like week, but after the interview, I went into another interview after that. And when I got out of my second interview, I looked at my phone and I got a missed call from him. I'm like, oh wait, what is this? So I call him back, and then right then and there, he was like, hey, you know, like, I really like you. I think you'd be a good fit for it. You know, can you come in later this week? And I got off the phone. I felt almost so like euphoric. I was like, because I'd tried so hard at that point. Yeah. And it was unbelievable. And I definitely think about it every day on my commute to work. I was like, I'm so lucky that I got this chance.
It's like the gravity of a victory in California is just so much heavy. It's so heavy over here. You know, once you make any step over here, it's a bigger step than you make in any other part of the world. It's just like, you know, I didn't get, like, I had an interview with Twitter, but I didn't actually get a job with Twitter. But whenever I got the call back saying that I was in, the top 4 out of 20 for an interview at Twitter, for a corporate position, right then and there, I was already on the verge of tears. It's just the fact that, you know, every step really counts over here because it's just that competitive.
I mean, I think there is some value in that kind of struggle too, because I guess I agree with you from what you were saying earlier. If it came easy, it definitely wouldn't mean as much. You would definitely take it for granted. Yeah, at least I know I would. I mean, there's someone out there probably who is better than us.
They paid their way into a position at YouTube. You know.
Oh yeah. It's whatever. You know, who cares?
You know, just to slide some money and get themselves a nice position at a nice company somewhere. Okay, so I have a couple of questions that I set up for you guys, mostly because I know about you guys, and I want everyone else to know how great you guys are. One big concern or one big topic that I wanted to look at was college, right? Because you guys are both like right out of college. Like we graduated all the same time, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Same year.
Yeah. Same year, same month, same everything. Same day.
2018.
Uh-huh. So, first of all, how was college? Like, what was the college that you went to? Like, what was it like? And, like, what did you like and dislike about it?
Well, the college, I mean, that we all went to, I think obviously with any university or any place that you go, there's going to be some good and some bad. But I think overall, like, it was all right. You know,
Oklahoma Christian.
Oklahoma Christian. You know, I had some good professors. I made some great friends, you know, you being one of them. I met my, wife, first week of college. Like, that was pretty cool.
Oh, that reminds me of something. So, you know how there's the clock tower in the middle of the campus, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so I saw Nick playing his guitar right in front of the clock tower, and I was like, hey, nice to meet you. I'm Tyler. And we shook hands, and we became good friends. The trippy thing is that 2 years later, my friend Jonathan, who was playing, like, he's my friend now, was playing his guitar in the same exact place where Nick was. I shook his hand and said, hey, last time I shook someone's hand here and asked for their name, I became really good friends with that person. I have a good feeling about you. And he was like, nice to meet you, man. And turns out he was my roommate for like all of my senior year. He's currently in Japan, where I'm from. And I think he just recently got married. He had his fiance. Yeah, they're married now. But it was really trippy that like that one particular spot must be magical or something, right? It's just like a little musical spot.
Yeah, if you ever get lonely, I guess just go back to Oklahoma and wait there
at that spot.
Yeah.
During the summer when no one's there, you just fucking guitar by yourself.
Your next new best friend is gonna come about if you wait at that spot.
Uh-huh. Usually, what it is like a lot of the freshman ladies, like ladies men, like lady, like what are they called? Like ladies.
I'll call them the crooners. Because they
Just waiting at
But you guys know what I'm talking
the
about. Okay.
courtyard.
Like, they're usually over there kind of schmoozing it with a lot of the freshman chicks that they're coming in with. Which, I mean, that is really appropriate because I was totally trying to schmooze you and Jonathan.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You caught Tyler in your trap. There you
Got
go.
him.
No, I caught Tyler in my trap. I'm actually Jonathan.
Oh,
We're actually the same person.
It's just freaking... I never knew you were Colombian, Nick.
I'm very Colombian deep down.
Just because you drink dark coffee doesn't mean you're Colombian.
In my heart.
Fair enough. All right, so things about Oklahoma Christian. So it's a private Christian university in Edmond, Oklahoma, really close to Oklahoma City, and emphasis on the Christian part. It's very, very traditional in a lot of ways. What did you, first of all, what did you like about it?
That's gonna take a second. Give us a second.
Okay. Start with the stuff that you did not like about it, because that one's going to come a little bit faster, probably.
There are a lot of things that we do like. It's just, I think sometimes it does get eclipsed by some of the more daunting problems. I think diversity is one big one, but that's not entirely their fault, you see, because it's in the middle.
Just look at the area. Like, they're in a predominantly white area.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. I mean, it definitely, I think, that was one big culture shock for me is, in the high school that I went to, there was just, you didn't really have one predominant race.
Homogenous.
Yeah, it was just, exactly. There's so many different people. Everyone just treated each other like the same.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, when I went to Oklahoma, everyone assumed that I was like from Asia
China,
or something.
Right, yeah.
It was weird because it was kind of like, I'm American. And I mean, it's not an explicitly racist thing to assume that because they're so used to seeing that. So it's just more like an odd adjustment. People calling me exotic is kind of weird because I've never heard that. Yeah. I also got Oriental, which I don't know how to feel about it.
It's just same. A lot of the university professors use the term Oriental because they're a little bit older and from a different generation.
Yeah, definitely. It's because that's just the thing. It would be people that I wouldn't consider closed-minded or racist or anything like that. It's just that they completely grew up in a different time and the language is a little bit different. And yeah, it's definitely nothing
potentially
personal to those
a lack of knowledge and exposure as well. Potentially, because again, it might just be a difference in words.
I definitely think that.
Okay, and then how about the students? How are your peers? I mean, I want to add one thing real quick before we go in and just terrorize everything. I met you guys and a lot of really great people at Oklahoma Christian. I love the mentorship at the school because it's a small school. I'm not sure if it's the Christian influence or the small school influence, but very, very personable and easy to talk to a lot of times. That was at least my opinion. And let's see, because of the small nature of the school, you're able to meet all of your friends. Even if you don't have to message them and make times to meet up and stuff. It's just you already know by default where everyone's gonna be because it's super small and you can walk to the same place and you just pass them by the cafe while you're going back home or something to the dorm.
Student center, just out and about. Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree. I did love the professors, and I had some really smart, really wise professors who I just learned so much from. And I mean, I did have a pretty good experience with most of the student body. Everyone was pretty. I mean, that's one wonderful benefit of it being in Oklahoma is people are just very hospitable, very friendly.
Very much so.
Yeah. I can attest to that. Growing up and living in Oklahoma all my life. I mean, just about everywhere that you go, you're going to find someone where you could just be in line at Target or something about to check out and next thing you know, you're talking to some random stranger for the next 10 minutes, just about, the day or how their life is doing,
yeah, there's not that kind of
and that's a foreign concept to a lot of people that are in California or in bigger cities, it's you don't just talk to people.
Because we're suspicious of everyone. We don't want to trust people.
Yeah, that is
a conspiracy theory state. It is famous for that too.
Yeah, that is that's true. And bringing it back to the culture shock that I had mentioned about my experience earlier was that, that's another thing that I noticed was that there are a lot of people are just generally a lot more standoffish, I think. Like,
where?
Not
here,
that they're
here
gonna,
or in
in California. At least in SoCal, but yeah, like
even more so here.
But yeah, and I think because maybe the homeless population and, you know, a myriad of other things. But yeah, I think it just the general attitude of people is a lot more reserved, oddly enough.
I mean, it does make sense though, because it just isn't as safe here as it is somewhere like Oklahoma. There's
a huge lack of trust just because you don't know who's out in the streets. There's gang violence. There's, you know, like you said, the homeless people. You don't know who's trustworthy and who's not trustworthy. Whereas in Oklahoma, if you meet someone, generally they're going to be fairly trustworthy, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, you can at least interact with them.
I think that was one thing that kind of drove me crazy in Oklahoma, was because I was so used to kind of being on guard. I had like my pepper spray when I went into OKC for the first time. And I was like, I don't need this. Like immediately I felt it. I was like, this is not this isn't LA. This is fine. And it used to drive me crazy because Nick would keep his truck door unlocked. And I'd be like, someone's gonna like come in here. Someone's gonna like, what are you doing?
And Nick's like, nope, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. He grew up small town Henrietta, Oklahoma. That wasn't his experience at all.
I would leave living in a lonely world. But but yeah, that's another thing. You know, I would leave my windows on my car like cracked because there's no crime where I lived. And there's no homeless people, so there's no reason to keep your car extra safe. But then, you know, on the flip side, like, you know, I experienced my first like bit of scary LA homeless people experience recently. Like
person first language. People who are homeless.
People
be really
homeless.
People who lack the comfort
of a home. Of the non-home.
Oh, goodness.
Let's be very political correct here. Come on.
Okay. We are in California after all.
Yeah, that is true. Okay. But yeah, like, you know, the complete 180 of leaving your doors unlocked at night and leaving your windows cracked. The complete opposite of that is like, you know, one wrong turn and you're in gang territory and you know, there's a homeless man on a wheelchair hiding in the bushes that could potentially not be crippled, and he could jump you, and that is very scary.
That didn't happen. I
know. But I think about it every single day.
Scoop. I need to know this story. What happened? Are you okay?
Yes, we're fine, and we were fine then. But do you mind if I?
No, you can go for it.
Okay, because this still, it's okay. Well, the story is, so a few weeks ago, Chris and I had our 1 year marriage anniversary. Clap, 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 clap.
Yay!
Anyway, so we have our 1 year anniversary, and I was going to take her to this really nice restaurant in LA. And so we park like a block or two away from this building, and we're within like the skyscrapers of LA. And so we had a little ways to walk, but we were using the GPS to give us directions the rest of the way from where we parked. But the directions told us to make a turn at this particular intersection. And what happened was it took us onto the sidewalk that the freeway is connected to. And there was no possible way of like making it to the restaurant from where we were at. And the farther we went in that direction, the sketchier it got, and the more likely we probably could have like gotten jumped or something. And the apex of this is that before we turned back around, we we're passing by this brush, and we were trying to pass by it quickly. And I look and I catch a glimpse of this guy, this really old guy in a wheelchair, just hiding in the bushes, like I guess minding his own business, you know. But regardless, that was like my first encounter with like a really potentially dangerous situation because I hadn't walked anywhere in LA, at least at that part anyway.
Well, I think it's just startling
like
too, because it's like you turn a corner and you walk a couple feet and you're like, oh shoot, there's someone there. It's I mean, it just kind of takes you off guard, especially if you're already like, you don't know where you are and you're a little worried and it's getting darker outside, and then, you know, you see that.
Like, what if he was just like changing, his tire popped, so he had to like change the tires on his wheelchair. It's like, hey, this is not a pit stop,
for sure. I think it's like, no matter who was standing there, it would have been kind of like, whoa, what's someone doing?
Why is there a random man?
Oh,
in this
hold
bush?
up. Yeah.
There's like a guy like behind there with a teacup, like sipping on tea.
That would be.
Can I offer you some?
May I offer you some tea? And I'm like, nope, no, thank you.
I'll very gladly just pass by you. Thank you very much.
Spooky.
He offers us like a snow cone, but and it's like lemon flavored,
like a Monsters Inc.
like Monsters Inc.
Gross. Snow cone? Yeah. That's hilarious.
Don't worry, it's lemon.
That's funny. Yeah. We're gonna get copyrighted now by Monsters. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh no.
But let's see. So, I got more questions for you guys.
But yeah, in conclusion, that was like a culture shock for me. Is that was I've never really experienced this kind of danger before, or potential danger,
and it shows.
Potential danger. It's terrifying, isn't it? Just being somewhere where you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, even just like sometimes it's just local things too. He'll say, "Oh, it'll be like in the middle of the night. I'm gonna go to the Walmart," and I'm like, "The one on La Palma."
I remember that, yeah.
And it's like, nah, are you going alone? Like at this time, because it's locally that's just known as an area that you
Probably not the best place to go at that time.
So he's just still making adjustments to understanding little places that you'd like. Because I live in a okay neighborhood, but I mean, same thing with LA. It's every corner you turn, it could be a really nice neighborhood, or it could be like somewhere you got to get out of.
Well, and here's the other thing: is that like when you're like, I guess if you're living in a good like a better off neighborhood, it might be a little bit different. But I'm staying in the east side of San Jose, and it's not too frequent, but I will on occasion hear gunshots in the background.
Yeah, we get that too.
Yeah,
or that's the thing. It's like, is it the Disneyland fireworks or is it a gunshot? Because
you don't know. You never know. You never know. And it's someone threw a firecracker into my fucking backyard one time. I act like I have a house.
Throw firecrackers outside of the just on the sidewalk.
Yeah, all the time.
Like almost every day. It seems.
Yeah, it's like, why the fuck are you doing that? You're not Chinese. Cultural appropriation. No, I'm just kidding.
Appropriation. I can pull that card right.
It's not even New Year's. Oh man.
My gosh. I mean, there are definitely like nicer. Like we have friends who live in the LA County, and I mean, so many of the houses there. I mean, they're crazy expensive, but so many of the houses there are just so nice, and the area is really nice, and they're mostly white people. You're like, why? Why is this? Yeah, that are Asian, to be honest. There are a lot of, but it's definitely like very. You can tell when a community is wealthy. I mean, obviously, you can tell.
Yeah, for sure.
Everything's super clean, and the shops and everything are taken care of.
Gotcha.
The grass is fake.
The grass is all fake.
The grass is often fake. That is definitely the case. Especially here in Silicon Valley, a lot of the tech companies, they'll try to make an environment in which they can retain their employees better. And so that they can have like lawn chairs out and not have to do maintenance. A lot of times they'll like employ fake grass and they'll put like lawn chairs and like tables on top of it. Really interesting. It's like it kind of speaks to like the synthetic or kind of potentially fake nature of some of California.
It's the Hollywood culture bleeding out through the rest of the state. Everything is a studio.
Definitely. All right, so let's go back to OC. So we were talking about experiences that you liked and disliked. We talked about like we talked more about Oklahoma, you know, like how trustworthy people are. But how about like maybe not necessarily explicitly OC, but just college in general. Like, what were your expectations for after you graduated? Like, what did you think was going to happen?
I think people talk about it a lot, but it's kind of hard to know until you're in it.
People are terrified of, like, when they're in college, they're terrified of what's going to happen after graduation.
Yeah, leaving. I mean, because everyone, you hear it all the time in the media and from your friends, is, you get out and you're trying to find a job, and it's tough. It's hard. And I mean, I don't think it's I don't think kids are taught very well in college how to make sure that they can find work afterward. Because I feel like the only reason I was able to get work was because there were things in college that I did that I didn't have to do. Like I did
extracurricular stuff.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of extracurricular stuff. Like I wrote for the school newspaper, and I worked for literary and arts journal and stuff like that. I'm not required to do necessarily.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I mean, like, the degree helped. Like, they saw the degree on my paper, and that helped me get in. But then they see these other things on my resume that they're like, oh, these are kind of unique. I don't see these on everybody's thing. And
definitely. Like, here's one thing. Like, the best skill, or like the best thing that prepared me for a job after university was learning Spanish. That was the hands down most useful skill that I acquired in university. And although I did have a minor in Spanish, I don't think I got as much out of the minor as people would expect. I think most of what I learned in college was, in terms of Spanish, was from friends. I just made a lot of good friends, and I spoke to them. And Doni, a mutual friend of ours, being one of them, he's a Mexican kid, spoke to me in Spanish all the time, really helped me get my bearings. I moved out to the Bay Area, and I interviewed with this company called New York Life. They're a Fortune 100 company. I think they're like 69th place or something like that. Great number, by the way. And it's, and they only wanted me to work at that company because I spoke Spanish. And that's something that I got not even from classes and stuff that I was doing within school, but stuff that I did outside of school. So I could definitely see like where you're coming from with that.
I definitely do think that. I mean, because I know some people who were Spanish majors, and they were not nearly as fluent to the degree that you were by the end of college. And I know, what is it like? Do you have 5 language you can get around with or proficient at, or?
Yeah, I'm fluent with 3. Spanish is one of them, and then I can speak conversationally. I can speak French and Portuguese, but I'm a lot more reserved about telling people about that because it's, first of all, 3 is a much prettier number, and then like, second of all, like I wouldn't advertise it for like a position. Like I wouldn't advertise it like a job speaking French. I wouldn't apply to that. But yeah.
Oh, now everybody knows. So
now everyone knows.
The cat's out of the bag.
Put you on blast.
Oui. No, I'm just kidding.
I do think that contributes a lot. I do wish that was, I mean, even trades aren't emphasized nearly as much in high school, and people just don't know their options, and they don't know what's really out there when they graduate, and there's not a realistic like idea told to kids about what they can do when they graduate.
I can attest to that. Like, but I didn't want to go to college because I wasn't sure what I would like study in. And so whenever I finally did like apply and got all the paperwork sorted out, I applied to be a music major because that was what I did. I do music, but getting there and finally getting in the music program, it wasn't really what I expected. Now, granted, I didn't really have high expectations to begin with, but I digress.
Gotcha.
There was just, looking back, it just seems like there was a lack of
planning,
like a lack of planning and preparation for what it would actually be like.
That reminds me. Let me tell you guys this thing. I don't know if I ever told you guys this. Now that I think about it, OC was the only school that I applied to, got accepted to, and went to.
Well, obviously,
same here.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
so
honestly, OC was the only school that I applied to because it was the only one that was really prevalent in my like knowledge bank, because OC recruiters would go to like every Christian youth group event that they could find in Oklahoma, you know, and some of my friends were going to Oklahoma, or some of my friends from Henrietta were going to OC as well. So I was like, I wouldn't mind seeing them still. So I went.
Huh. Okay. Gotcha. So it's not just me then. Cool. I'm not alone.
No,
You're not alone, Tyler.
Wildly different from my experience.
Yeah. Did you like apply to like a lot of different universities?
I applied to UC Santa Cruz, which I got into. Pepperdine,
you got into Santa Cruz?
Yeah, I got into Santa Cruz. Pepperdine, who lost my paperwork, and
Disgusting.
Cal State Fullerton, which I also got into, but I wanted to dorm somewhere. So, and Fullerton's real close to me, so I was kind of iffy about it. And then OC was kind of a throwaway. I didn't really want to go to OC. But
no one does.
Yeah, but like it's funny because it just shows you that, you know, life's got a sense of humor, I guess, because I know I'd visited OC before, and my dad was like, "Oh, you could go here. Like, this is such a good school and all that stuff." And I was like, "No, I'm not going here. Like, that's not happening."
Yeah, I'm not gonna smell cow shit for the rest of my 4 years.
Like, and then fast forward a couple years later, and here I am, freshman orientation. But I mean, it was worth it, obviously, and I don't regret it.
Tell everyone about Ring by Spring. Please do. We have to talk about that beast.
So there's this I mean, I think it's at a lot of Christian colleges, but there's this saying, Ring by Spring, where a lot of freshmen, especially, will get engaged. Like, they'll meet, you know, their boyfriend or girlfriend in the fall, and then by spring, they'll already be engaged. And it's just like a big Christian college thing that happens.
Marriage Factory is what I refer to it as throughout my 4 years. Marriage Factory. It produces marriages like no other institution on this planet.
What's crazy too is if you look at the housing options, you actually get a better deal if you're married. So you're kind of like, what are the intentions? I mean, I think
I was about to say it stimulates the local economy.
No, I mean, honestly, like, it's cool.
You get tax cuts for government too if you get married.
Yeah, right.
And this does the same thing at OC. Makes sense.
I mean, in Oklahoma too, the culture kind of expects you to get a little, to kind of get married a little bit younger than a lot of the other country does anyway. So I think there's that expectation already that, oh, you might be from Texas or from Oklahoma or somewhere in the South. You probably are planning on it sometime soon anyway.
Here,
so,
like, one way that I've put it for guys and girls, like, for guys, it's kind of like, you're a provider. And then, like, for girls, it's kind of like the Midwest is where housewives are made. Like, it's literally
very traditional. Very traditional.
It's where housewives are made. There's no other way to put it.
Well, it's true. That just is the culture. Like, the coasts, you know, kind of are what drives the progression in the country, and then the South, like, everything that the coasts have had for like 10 years reaches the South 10 years later. You know, they just don't really progress very much.
And there's definitely not one that's better than the other. It's just, I think, where you're more comfortable. Like, I'm definitely more comfortable in California, and that has a lot to do with what I'm used to.
Well, objectively, they're not necessarily superior or inferior to each other.
Oh, no.
But subjectively,
oh no, that's the but. However,
there's a reason why California's population is going up because of people that are coming into the state. There's definitely a reason for that, and it's because California, despite its faults, is kind of this. It's this the good side of it. The good sides of California are really utopian. It's just like this dreamland where you step in, and it is really actually not quite as great, but almost as great as people describe it to be.
I think that's just I think you're right on the money there, because I mean that's why there's like countless songs and movies that are about
California.
Exactly. Hotel California, California Dreamin', California Girls. I mean, every single Beach Boys song ever written, you know?
Beach Boys.
The Beach Boys.
Where are they going to be from? Kansas? Doesn't make of course.
The Beach Boys
The
of Lake
wonderful
Arcadia.
beaches of Illinois.
Off the
what they
shores of
say.
Lake Superior, Michigan.
Ooh, so fun.
But yeah, I think you're right on the money there, Tyler. I think something about California is just like the good parts are like better than everywhere else.
Yeah, it's again, it's the whole just the payoff thing, like just there are things that you have to suffer through, but there's a lot of reward. All right.
I think for our age,
go
it's
ahead.
nice too, because it's I mean, when I was in Oklahoma, I'd get so bored sometimes because I was so used to being able to do stuff whenever and just go out and find something
Right.
to do.
Oh, and how did you have a car while you were at college?
When I was in college?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did, but where would I go? Like, after 8 o'clock, everything was closed. So,
Fair enough.
I don't know.
Well, you can go to the OnQ close to campus.
Ooh, yeah, the
Oh,
gas
yeah.
station, Tyler.
The hop on cue.
Oh,
Hey, I'm telling. This reminds me. Okay, so Andrew, we're gonna bring Andrew into this right now,
Oh man,
and he's
Andrew
gonna listen to this. So kisses. This one time, all of us, like our friend group, we all got together and we were gonna go to Saki. Which is the Japanese restaurant that's like right close to campus. Ironically, there's like a weird like Japanese restaurant like really close to campus, but we went there and everyone ordered sushi like regular human beings, and Andrew, being the kind of weird fuck that he is, was like, you know what, guys? I don't have much money right now, so I'm not gonna get anything. I'm like, okay, fair enough. Yeah, that's reasonable. If you can't afford it, then that's fine. Like, you don't have to get anything. We'll eat, I guess. But then we get out of Saki, and afterwards we're like, oh man, the dessert in there was like really expensive, but we want to get like something sweet, So we walked across the street to the OnQ. And we're all like buying like a donut or like a single like sweet item. And Andrew fucking buys this big ass bag of Twix, which costs more than the fucking sushi that we had. I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, I don't know. I just didn't want sushi. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, dude?
Then why didn't you say you didn't want sushi?
You're just going to throw up on junk food, boy? What are you doing?
You got your
And the kid's
priorities.
lactose and but anyways, with love, Andrew, with love. It was just too perfect to not mention. Ugh.
That's funny.
But okay, let's go to the next thing. What did you do to achieve your next step after college? Like, what do you guys think was your like big step after college? I guess marriage. Like, besides marriage.
Marriage would be the
Yeah,
pretty
marriage
big
was
one.
probably the biggest one. That was like marriage was on our mind. Like, I want to say almost 24/7 for a good 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, when we were, I guess so. Like, when we were doing the planning, and I mean, because it wasn't just planning the wedding, that's the thing. It was planning, okay, how are we going to get Nick's stuff out here?
Uh-huh.
Like, where are we going to go after? Like, it was a lot of just
We have a honeymoon that we were working on.
You guys are so cute.
So it was it was a crazy, but it did give me like a lot of faith in our ability to plan things, because my goodness, it was insane.
And man, like I wouldn't even, I can't even imagine. Like,
And trying to go
Nick
through
took
senior
multiple
year,
trips and stuff.
Yeah, that was insane.
Like,
Like,
a fucking journey.
it really was. Man, I would do it again though, because it was fun.
Aw,
Yeah,
man.
it was a
And
good
you guys
time.
are so fucking cute too, because okay, so you guys in public,
Please, more compliments.
but you guys in public, like, you guys aren't like super touchy. You guys usually don't hold hands. You guys don't do this stuff. But what's really funny is you guys are kind of like no hands out in public. But then we get you guys like a beer or like wine or something like that, and you guys get all handsy on the couch and everything. It's so fucking cute whenever we have game night. Oh man, you guys are adorable.
Interesting perspective.
It's interesting.
No, and seriously though, like, no, because like, okay, because
By handsy, you mean cuddly? Because I agree with that.
no, okay. Well, my lack of, I'm sorry, I'm an English major and I have a terrible vocabulary. Okay, but yes, you guys are more affectionate. Is that a better word?
I suppose. I mean, I think generally our perspective is that if we're with, like, especially one other friend, if we're like with one other friend or like a couple friends, we don't want them to feel like a third wheel ever. Because we've definitely had people in the past, not because we were doing anything, but because they just, are feeling sad because they're alone or whatever. Aww. So we try to like make it not
Andrew.
Feel. No. Hey, I was trying not to say any names, Tyler. You didn't have to do that.
It's all good.
No.
On occasion,
it's just easier to like kind of. I mean, we were friends before we started dating too, so we can kind of flip on the friend switch. We can just kind of like be chill. We're just hanging out. We're just
useful. That's a very useful skill that a lot of people do not have.
We can go on dates and we can be like, okay, yeah, we're in couple mode, and then like
temporarily
we can
friend zone.
Especially when we're playing music together, like we can't really let our marriage and like emotional stuff bleed into practice. Like that's
I won't let my marriage get in the way of my fucking music.
Yeah, like imagine like we won't treat each other the same way we do when we're rehearsing than when we're just talking.
It's just it's all about context. There are different contexts for being affectionate and not being affectionate. And I think also like personally, just because I've been third wheeled like hardcore a bunch of times in my life, unfortunately.
Same. Not proud of it, but same.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't like.
You don't want to make someone uncomfortable.
Exactly. I don't want to make them feel the way I felt. If I can help it. Obviously,
I understand that. I've definitely put someone into a third wheel position before, and they just kind of sit there awkward.
You ass.
I mean, and you never want to make someone you care about, like a friend, feel like you'd rather them not be there or something. Because that's never the case.
Yeah.
Like if I'm with a friend and I'm with Nick, it's like, no, I'm having a good time with all of us. I'm not thinking about, I wish that like you could just be Nick and I. No, that's never the case.
Yeah, I really, I really have a good time. Kissing with this person right next to us.
Oh my God.
I love that feeling.
There are people like that though. There are people who are like, you're just like, you realize I'm standing here, like, but
like in freaking concerts all the time.
Oh my gosh, no.
Every single concert
Latinos,
I go to.
Oh my goodness! Okay,
that will make out right in front of me,
dude. It's always a Latino couple, man. That's always what it is because, and I'm saying this because I was dating a Latina before, and man, it's just like affection. You have to show affection absolutely everywhere. What?
you said you were dating a Latina before. I'm like, oh, and Donnie.
Basically, this is basically my wife. So,
like, Andoni, get off me! I'm trying to watch my favorite band.
Oh no!
Usually it was the other way around. But anyways, I actually have totally made my exes jealous whenever I would like cuddle with Andoni, like 100%, or Austin. I've definitely made them really jealous.
You're like, you tell me, Tyler, you were.
It's okay, right? Tyler.
It's okay. You can.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
Dude, I 100%. I act super flamboyant in the Bay Area. I do it with purpose too. I do it with like a zeal because the thing is here, like if I were gay, I would be comfortable with being gay. I'm just not, and I'm really comfortable around gay people, especially in the Bay Area. Actually, I want to talk about this in the Bay Area. Especially San Francisco is known as the gay capital of the U.S. or of the world or something like that, right?
I've never heard it called that, but I would not be surprised if it were.
That's interesting that you know that, Tyler.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's why I moved out here.
That's why he moved there. Yeah.
but like it's because there's so many people that are gay out here. I've never once felt like I was made uncomfortable by a gay person. Any other place in the US or even in Japan, I've been hit on by a gay person. Over here, it's always been a respectful encounter that I've had with gay people. And I think that's, for me, that's more proof that what you should do is you should be more accepting of gay people. Because if you're not gay and you don't want to be hit on by a guy, I think the best thing to do is to encourage there to be more options in the area so that they don't have to come after people that are straight like you.
Also, I think we've talked about this before, like in an area where there are more people who are like queer or like LGBT,
mm-hmm.
they're probably gonna have a better idea of like if you are giving off those vibes, and also if you're like in Oklahoma or Japan, I mean, you have to kind of take more of that risk because people might be more playing it, like downplaying it because of the area you're in. So you have to reach out more and be like, well, since you might be.
That's 100% right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Completely. Like, I knew. So I had some friends who were in high school. I had some friends who were gay, but they had to be super closeted.
Mm-hmm. They can act like because boisterous about it.
Exactly, they couldn't be flamboyant or express it. Unfortunately, because of the culture there, it's really frowned upon, and like I wouldn't even know that some of these people that I've interacted with were gay because they don't show it, and they don't act it. Like,
right, it's sad. It's really sad.
Mm-hmm. That people can't I mean, and it's crazy too because America is one of the more progressive places, obviously, in the world for that.
Very
but
much
even
so.
then, I mean, like, there's so many parts of just the U.S. that aren't
like even the conservative areas are more progressive than a lot of areas in the world.
Yeah, they're not, getting killed or
or getting acid thrown on their face.
Oh my gosh!
Oh goodness!
Some of the world's a dark place sometimes, but wonderful place too, but also very dark.
Very much so. Very much so. But yeah, it's like it's just I think that like encouraging people to be whatever they want to be in terms of like their sexuality it's healthy. Because it's healthy for both sides. It's not just for explicitly for gay people, like people that are in the LGBT community. I think it's healthy for other people too, because then it's more on the table when you know exactly where people stand, what people are comfortable with. Like who like doesn't want to interact with you romantically. Who does, and I think it's a lot more open in that way.
Well, it's about knowledge too.
Knowledge.
Like the more things get talked about, the more like less taboo and the less negative attitude towards that subject will come forth. Like that's why I don't know. For example, I think it's great that America is viewed as the melting pot of the world. Because if you come to America or you live in America and you live in an area, say like where all of us are living right now, where there's a vast diversity of just people, from every ethnicity, every background, every walk of life that you can possibly think of, it really broadens your horizon as far as how you see the world and how you see yourself as a person. Because like if you live in a bubble like, the South does, then it can kind of, it just closes you off to a lot of, potentially great relationships maybe. But the same could also be said maybe for the opposite end.
Right.
I think it's kind of hard though, because
I know that's a very big topic that I just
I feel like you broadened it a bit, which is, there's just it's like what I was saying before. There are a lot of things culturally that are good about places like Oklahoma and the South and the Midwest. I feel like there's a lot more focus on like family in your community, and I think California's a lot more about the individual and a lot more about what
Very
you
much
want,
so.
and making sure that you express yourself despite maybe like how it affects your family or how it affects. And I know that it's just if you're born in an area like this. It's gonna be hard to see it any other way, but there's a lot of parts in the world where community is way above the individual, and I think a lot of us just don't see it that way.
Groups are different between Oklahoma and California, because in Oklahoma the base group is generally the church, generally speaking. Now, not everyone is is Christian in the Midwest or in the South, but in California, I think you find people more than often are not Christian, and so they don't go to a church. They might go to like a different religious assembly, but a lot of people here are either atheist or agnostic. And I think people that subscribe to a non-religious mentality, they tend to find different groups or communities that they can pertain to.
Yeah,
That-
and I mean,
that
it's all
replaces the church.
survival. It's all
It
just
is definitely survival.
trying to fit in and find your. It's that whole love and belonging thing. You know, what's that Maslow's hierarchy? I think
Hierarchy
that's
of needs.
the third thing is love and belonging.
Mhm.
So once your basic needs are met, once you have your food, you have your water, you have your shelter, and you
air.
feel safe, then you want belonging. It's why gang activity is a thing. It's because it's a created community where you can feel like you're part of something. So it's so complicated.
What Nick said just kind of made me think. Once we get to Mars, does Maslow's hierarchy of needs change?
Well, I mean, you still need to artificially create those things.
You still need air.
I mean, you still.
That's what I'm saying. Air, like air is gonna be a thing that you can't take for granted anymore.
Yeah. Because we have
Assuming
to
there's
make
no
the air.
atmosphere.
Yeah.
Assuming we don't create like an atmosphere or something, that we're gonna have to make it, or we're gonna have to like live inside like a house or something.
It's gonna be like it's gonna become capitalized like in Spaceballs. We're gonna have cans of air.
AT&T is gonna own the air. That's what's gonna happen.
AT&T, Verizon, and Comcast are gonna own all the air.
Oh yeah, if your subscription goes out, you just get no oxygen for the rest of the month.
No.
Oh boy.
Your subscription service, just like an unlimited 14 gigabytes of oxygen, or something like that. It's like, make sure you don't watch too many YouTube videos, because if it runs out, you're fucked.
Oxygen is becoming digital. Everything will become digitalized in the future. You don't understand.
Oh.
All right. So, what do you guys think about taking a break?
We can take a break.
Yeah, just
you mean from the podcast? I was like, we're not
from the
breaking
podcast.
No.
How dare you assume?
Stop.
I know, I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, we can pause for a minute.
All right, cool. And,
Let's know when you pause, and then we'll pause.
Yeah, for sure. And here. We're going to play Nick's song right here in the intermission. So you guys enjoy it. Again, follow his Instagram. Danny, the wonderful Portuguese guy, is going to edit the link down below. So make sure to check, or their handle right down below. So make sure to check it out. Thanks, Danny. And we'll see you guys in a second.